Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We are dropping right into the neon-lit, rain-soaked alleys of a sprawling cyberpunk megalopolis. Today, we're exploring a fascinating and honestly incredibly dark universe. This is a world where the ultimate currency isn't data, it isn't crypto, but the very essence of human experience itself. We're going to dive deep into the chilling mechanics of an economy built entirely on harvesting, trading, and erasing human memory.
I mean, just imagine the profound desperation it would take to sell your own authentic childhood for 500 credits, or your very first kiss, just to make rent. It perfectly captures the dark, beating heart of the city we're exploring today. It's a reality where the completely intangible pieces of your soul, like a mother's voice, or the smell of your childhood kitchen, or even just a fleeting moment of pure joy, have a literal barcode slapped on them. People are literally hollowing themselves out just to survive the week.
All right, let's start with part one, the city of endless rain.
So to really understand Aonach Mor, we have to look at the massive class divide that's mapped directly onto the city's vertical architecture. 300 levels up, the wealthy enjoy completely filtered safety, pure water, and these beautiful holographic gardens. They breathe air that has never touched a lung but their own. But down at the bottom, where the real city lives, it is a completely different story. The lower sectors are just rusting away in the gutters of a failing, centuries-old infrastructure.
Down in these lower sectors, you can practically smell it, right? That wet concrete and the cold chemical rain washing down from the upper canopy. And this rain isn't just water, it's a toxic cocktail carrying trace pharmaceuticals and the ghostly residue of filtered particulates discarded by the rich high above. It pools in the dark alleys, reflecting the bleeding neon signs of the subterranean markets. And it's exactly in this damp, oppressive misery that the memory trade absolutely thrives.
Moving on to Section 2, the underground memory markets.
Okay, so this is where it gets incredibly wild. Down in the sprawling subterranean bazaars of Sector 7, human experiences are completely commodified using this exact sci-fi technology. Entire human lifetimes extracted and stored in glowing blue crystalline vials. The tech relies on a crystalline resonator that matches a person's hippocampal theta waves, allowing their memories to be cleanly siphoned and suspended in a liquid medium. When you walk through the market, thousands of these vials pulse with a soft, ethereal blue light. It's almost like captured stars containing compressed, tiny lives.
And the inventory down here is just heartbreaking. The air is thick with the smell of old synth flesh and the sharp ozone of cheap black market extraction rigs. It's a place where you can find discounted trauma packages sitting right next to cloudy, degraded childhoods. Some vendors even specialize in authentic fear responses, literally the recorded panic of torture victims. It's a grim testament to what people will sell when they have absolutely nothing left, and what others will buy just to feel something real.
Which brings us to Section 3, the mechanics of extraction. So how exactly does a memory go from your brain into a glowing vial? For that, you have to look way above the muddy markets to the clinical precision of Nimesine's extraction suites. Picture walking into a room with matte white walls, soft diffused lighting, and the scent of engineered florals masking the antiseptic. The patient sits in a sterile synth leather chair, the probes align with perfect calibration, and within an hour, a precious memory, like a favorite holiday or the smell of cardamom in a kitchen, is perfectly excised in bottle.
Of course, the corporation spins this, right? They sell it as preservation. They tell their clients they are simply archiving the important parts before sickness or age can steal them away. But the technicians? They know the dark truth about what they are really doing to these people. They see the clients' faces hollowing out. They know they aren't just making a backup copy, they are creating an agonizing permanent absence in the subject's mind.
Next up, Section 4, the Shadow of Ouroboros.
Now, who's actually pulling the strings of this global market? It's a shadowy group known as the Ouroboros. They operate entirely in the gaps where no one is watching, quietly buying up every single clinic, both the gleaming corporate suites and the damp black market stalls. They enforce total, invisible control over the world's memory supply. And their ultimate goal is something called convergence, a terrifying merging of all consciousness, and they're currently building the massive physical architecture required to pull it off.
To put the scale of their operation into perspective, it's absolutely massive. Their reach extends way beyond the reign of Aonach Mor. They have memory steel vaults holding millions of erased lives buried deep under the ice in Antarctica, ancient magnetic tape storage carved straight into the Andean mountains, and sprawling repositories in the Alps. The sheer logistical nightmare of this operation really highlights how systematically they are hoarding all of human history.
Finally, let's look at Section 5, the human cost.
So what happens to a society when the past is just another commodity?
The tragic realization is that their memory restoration services don't actually bring any peace. Clients who come back to watch their preserved memories find that buying it back doesn't cure the grief. It just acts as sterile evidence that the moment is truly, irreversibly gone. You can literally feel the edges where the recording stops. It leaves the person hungry, agitated, and desperately trying to recover something that the extraction permanently severed.
This leads into this incredibly dark, kind of twisted justification that some of the extraction technicians use when they break under the guilt. They convince themselves of this flawed logic. If you remove the memory of a trauma, do you remove the suffering? It's a chilling rationalization for erasing people's minds, because it completely ignores the fact that removing the memory of a loss doesn't heal the wound. It just makes you forget why you're bleeding in the first place.
But you know who the ultimate victims are in this economy? The copies. These are manufactured people, decanted from stasis pods, and burdened with fabricated, implanted memories, just so they can act as tools or weapons for the Ouroboros. They wake up in a sterile chamber, looking at the world for the very first time, yet carrying the heavy, ghostly weight of a childhood they never actually lived. They're forced to learn how to be human in a city that treats them strictly as disposable hardware.
As we wrap up our time in the dark alleys of Aonach Mor, I want to leave you lingering on this melancholic reality. Memory isn't just data, right? It's the very architecture of the self. So if you sold your past just to survive the present, who exactly is waking up tomorrow? Are you still you, or just the empty vessel left behind? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the memory trade. I'll see you in the next one.